They convicted him without evidence. They ignored the science. And even when DNA proved he was innocent, the state refused to let him go. Calvin Willis lost 21 years of his life for a crime he never committed. Kindly sit back to listen to this touching story of Calvin Willis, and don't forget to click on the subscribe button for more epic stories. This is the story of how the justice system got it devastatingly wrong. Calvin Willis was just 22 years old when his life was taken from him. In the summer of 1981, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, was shaken by a brutal crime. A young woman was kidnapped, beaten, and sexually assaulted. The community was terrified, and police were under intense pressure to make an arrest quickly. Within hours, investigators focused on one man, Calvin Willis. He was young, he was black, and he lived nearby. That was enough. Police arrested Calvin. Without any physical evidence linking him to the crime, there were no fingerprints, no DNA, no witnesses placing him at the scene, but the system had already made up its mind. The victim was asked to identify her attacker. She failed to identify Calvin Willis in a photo lineup. Then she failed again, and again. Despite this, police continued pushing her toward him. After repeated pressure, eventually, she finally selected Calvin, not because she was certain, but because she felt she was expected to. That single, uncertain identification became the foundation of the entire case. At trial, the evidence against Calvin Willis was almost non-existent. There was no DNA connecting him to the crime, no medical evidence, no credible eyewitness testimony. Yet the prosecution presented the case as if his guilt was obvious. They relied heavily on the flawed identification and on racial stereotypes that were common and deadly in the Deep South at the time. Calvin insisted he was innocent. It didn't matter. The jury found him guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison. Just like that, a 22-year-old man disappeared into the prison system. Years passed. Calvin grew older behind bars while the real attacker remained free. He lost his youth. He lost relationships. He lost family members while incarcerated. But he never stopped fighting. From inside his prison cell, Calvin wrote letters, filed appeals, and begged for DNA testing. For years, the state refused. Finally, advances in DNA technology made testing possible. When the evidence was examined, the results were undeniable. The DNA did not belong to Calvin Willis. It never had. The evidence pointed to someone else entirely. This should have ended the case, but it didn't. Instead of admitting their mistake, prosecutors fought to keep Calvin in prison. They delayed hearings, challenged the science, and argued technicalities, even after the truth was clear. It took 21 years before Calvin Willis was finally released. He walked out of prison in 2003, a free man at 43 years old. He had entered at 22. Freedom did not erase what was taken from him. Calvin had lost decades of his life, time that could never be returned. No amount of compensation could undo the damage. The real attacker was never held accountable. Today, Calvin Willis's case is studied as a textbook example of how wrongful convictions happen. Racial bias, coerced eyewitness testimony, ignored evidence, and a justice system more focused on winning than on truth. Calvin Willis got his freedom back, but thousands of others may never get the chance. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe to this channel. Because the truth doesn't speak for itself. Someone has to tell it.